Hey everybody, Ben here. First off, I just want to show a new knife that I just got, and I'm loving it, man. This thing is really cool, but there's some changes that could be made to it that makes it just a touch better. So here it is. This is the Bowers Kwaiken is what this one is. Very slim. You can see the blade stays inside. No part of the blade stays outside of the framework of the blade. So I thought that was real cool, very slim. And this was a limited production knife. There's only 600 of these made. And this happens to be number 101 of 600. So I got it, and I thought, let's see how it feels. And it felt great, loved everything about it. But this part, right there, getting your thumb in there to flip that out isn't easy. And I've got this thing apart, so I'm just kind of trying to show what it looks like all together. If you're trying to get your thumb in there to kick that out, isn't the easiest thing in the world. And I thought, well, I can deal with it, it'll be fine. But I decided now that I got the knife, I'm going to go ahead and try this flipper mod everybody keeps talking about. I seen it first with Bladeworks, and I'll probably put a link in his description. He does incredible pimping. I've gotten one of his spider codes from him. And so he did a Bowers Kwaiken for Jim Skeltons, and he decided to do the flipper mod to it. And then Jim Skeltons also got a great review on this knife too. One of the things they talked about was centering. Of course you can't see it here because none of the other side isn't on it, but my knife was perfectly centered. It functioned flawlessly. So it wrestled with doing anything, but I've decided I'm gonna go ahead and cut this side of the scale off here and the frame behind it on each side, and that should show off this section of the blade on the back side. So you should see about that much hanging out from behind the framework. So you should be able to grab a hold of that and flip it open. So I'm gonna give it a whirl and see how it works. So this is hopefully this ain't the beginning of how I ruined my knife, but the biggest thing that I think concerns me the most about this is this knife has the bearing system in it, and there's a bunch of little ball bearings that ride inside the frame, this little recess here on both sides of the framework, which makes it very, very smooth, but also makes it a little bit more tedious to work on. So I've got all this stuff together. I'll show you how I kind of trying to keep all my stuff together there. If I can get close enough there. There you go, my scale's in the back. So all my parts are in there, kind of divided apart. My biggest concern with those bearings, so they've got their own separate place to hide in. I don't want to lose any of these. And then you can see there's all the bearings that rides inside those recesses I was talking about. So I'm going to have to try to put all those bearings back in that frame. We'll see how that goes. I got an idea how to do it. I don't think it'd be too big a deal, but I could prove myself wrong. So here's the lead-in to trying to customize my first production knife. I'm doing the flipper mod to the Bowers Kwaiken. Let's see if I can. Bowers Kwaiken. So here we go. So here's the scales. I don't know if y'all can remember, but they were more squared off. They came out much further out this way, and this piece came up further that way. So I've done that, ground that out, and matched the scale to get about the same spacing as what I was looking for. Finished off the surface of the top, I guess you call it the spine of the frame, but so very uniform. It doesn't look like this was done aftermarket. It ties in, I feel like, really well. I don't think you could ever tell that was not a factory job. So there we go. That's one of them, and again the same to the other. And these match up identically. They line up side by side, holes to holes, and angles to angles there. Although actually in the back from the factory these lines don't line up exactly, but they're pretty close. Close enough, probably closer than I could get, but anyway. So done the same thing here, again looking for that same spacing on my G10, which I feel like I hit it all the way around, and again tied the top, so it looks like it's a factory option there. So man, I'm excited, fixing to build it next. I'm down to part 3 and what appears to be the final part of my first attempt to customize a knife, a production knife, specifically the Bowers Kwaiken in the orange scale, the G10 orange. It's a limited production knife, 600 made, which made me even more nervous about doing it, but what the heck. Loved the knife when it came in, and I thought maybe I'll just deal with the problems that people have talked about, and that was the thumb stud. You had a hard time getting your thumb dug in there deep enough to grab a hold of actually the thumb disc that's on the top of the blade there. So you had a hard time getting your thumb under there and getting that thing to pop out, getting your hand in there good enough to get in there and click it out of there. So there's a few people that have talked about doing a little customization to this thing to make it easier to open up, and that's to make it into a flipper. So that's what I've done, and it turned out pretty good. I'll go ahead and show you my spacing first here, from my G10 to the frame itself. Pretty uniform, that's what I was looking for there. All the way around, same amount. Very happy with that. The other side. And then the grind on where I did grind this metal down. This used to be this frame and scales used to come on out straight, completely covering this back side of the blade on to about there, and then wrapped around and came back down into here. So all that's gone now on both sides. So now you're left with the back side of the lock face. Basically, this is where your lock bar rests against once it's open, and you've turned that into a flipper. So big concern was you know, centering. I centered back up great. Another big concern was all the ball bearings that ride in there. Both sides have a ball bearing system instead of a phosphorus bronze washer or nylon washer. This uses a bearing system, so I was a bit nervous getting all back together, and actually went no problem at all. Just a little trick there with basically the lubrication, but super happy, man, how it turned out. I did change the detent a bit, so it opens up quite a bit easier now, even just flicking it open. I actually use my middle finger to flick it open. I don't even use my thumb. So I'm very happy with that. And then the flicker now, there you go, is now officially a flipper knife. Let's see if I can get that back in, if I can do it from down here. Bam! There we go. Pretty cool, man. I'm happy with how it turned out. That's very smooth. Lockup still very early. I think that's probably 20%, something like that. So there's my first customization to a production knife, the Bowers Kwaiken G10 orange, number 101 of 600. I'll show you all that. Back side there. This was all right here, the area I ground out. So guys, I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. That was awesome. happy how it turned out, and hope you enjoyed watching the video. If you got any questions, feel free to holler at me. Y'all have a good one.